Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video we're going to be using the Planner's Anonymous Bon Voyage kit to make a bucket list dashboard for our planner. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so for today I'm going to be making I don't know really how to explain this. It's like a bucket list dashboard with interchangeable stuff. Go with me. We'll understand it in a minute. So I'm going to start off with, and it's going to be really boring for this first bit, I'm starting off with this bit of paper. It's got the adventure awaits on the front, the approved and all those things, and we're going to just fold this to a certain extent. That sounds really boring, trust me, it'll be okay. So I'm grabbing a piece of A5 cardstock, and I'm using A5 because this is the size of my planner. If you're in the States and you use a half letter size, or if you use any other kind of size, you just need to sort of do this to your sized planner. So what I'm going to do is grab a pencil and I'm just going to mark gently a fold line and a cut line. So the cut line's at the top, the fold's at the bottom. I'm grabbing my scoreboard. I need to come around that way, that's fine. And my scoring tool, which I thought I got out, but apparently I didn't. And I'm just lining that up so that I can use my little mark here to score this. I'm not measuring yet. It doesn't matter if this is a tinsy bit too big or too small, it will be fine. So I'm just making that score line. And then obviously I'm going to have to roll this round to get to the other side. I always just find a groove and just go with it. It doesn't matter if it's not 100%. And then I'm going to fold this over. So what this does is it makes this kind of little booklet cover thing. But for me, it means that the rings have got room to punch and not get in the way of the cover. So this can fold open. This is where I'm going. So then I just need to trim the top. Now this is my craziness. I was going to do that, but I'm not going to. I was going to measure it and mark it, but I'll just do it this way. I'll back myself in. I will do it. No, I will do it. I'll just back my line. So I was going to trim this down. Just cut this little bit off at the top. And then that should be very close to A5 size. It is. It's just about perfect. Yay! So when this goes into my planner, it'll be like this. So I'm actually going to grab out a piece so I can use it to punch my holes. I always find that punching my holes at the beginning is a lot easier because it means I can see where I'm working and it just makes a little bit more sense. I am just a little bit sort of not quite on this side. This side's a little bit shorter. I'm making it line up on the whole side because to me that's more important. I don't mind if it's a little too small on the other side. So just that pencil again and just mark the holes and punch them out. And there we can see this will fit in nicely and it flips out wide but it stays closed. I can and I may put a little closure device on here later, but just for now we'll keep going. Alright, this is the part where I have used one item out of the digital kit. Now if you haven't got the digital kit, there is a bunch of other ways you could do this. You could use from the stamp set, you could use the little road trip thing, one of the circles. If you've got some of the other Planner's Anonymous kits, there are Polaroids and frames and those sort of things that you can use. But I wanted to use the little airplane windows because I thought it was such a clever idea. And so what I've done is I've printed out a bunch of those. I've sized them right. Now, if you've never seen any of my videos where I use the digital kits before, I highly recommend you go and check them out. But basically what I do is I have an A5 size sheet, if that's what I know I'm working with, and I make my artwork look right on that sheet on the computer, and then that way I know they're sized right. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to do it really quick because you guys don't need to sit through it, I'm going to cut out each of these 6 windows and I'm going to just roughly cut out my 6 bucket list places. So like I said, I'm going to do this really quick because you don't need to sit through it and I will be right back. Alright, so like I said, I've gone through and cut out the windows. I actually left the bucket images just for a minute. I will come back to those. So then I want to cut these out. This is another one I'm going to do fast. I'll do one with you guys and then I will do the other one off camera. So I just want to use other ones off camera. I'm just going to use a craft knife just to cut out the windows. So I want the frame. That's all I'm looking for here. I don't need to do this perfect. It doesn't need to be 100% exactly right. It just needs to be as close as possible. So I'm just working on that line. Try and stay on the line or just inside the line. My preference is always not to have white, but if I can't do it, if I miss a spot, that's fine. It's not an issue. Just following it up. You'll see this in just a sec. The only really tough part is just this top bit because it's a little bit of a different shape. The others are really just straight lines with a little bit of a curve. There we go. There it is. And I've just got a little bit of a fluff there, so I can just trim that off. And then this bit is optional. I kind of think it looks cool, so I'm going to do it, but you definitely don't have to. It's going to be one more little thing to cut out, so it's kind of annoying. There's a little handle spot. I want that handle gone too. So basically anywhere that there's white, I don't want there to be, I don't want it there. So I'm just knocking it out gently as possible. What is wrong with my words? And there you've got your little kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead really quick and do all of that in a snap, and I'll be right back. 6 little windows, all cut out and ready to go. I will say it was easier to cut the little bit before you cut the big bit. It just made it a little bit easier. And then I'm going to grab a bit of acetate. This is just a bit of scrap that I happen to have. I have lots of bits of scrap acetate. And all I'm going to do is just use my glue tape. And then I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper, which I usually have billions of sitting right here, but apparently today I don't. And I'm just going to put glue tape all around this. And the only part I'm avoiding is exactly where that little line is. I am going to put a teensy little bit there, hoping to be able to just get it without getting too much actual adhesive on that little hole. It's just sometimes it can be a little bit, you can see it and it's annoying. So I'll stick one and then I'll go ahead and do this off camera again. My pet peeve with acetate is when you get it looking a little dirty, which this one happens to. In my experience, the more you try to clean it, the worse it gets. So I'm going to leave it alone. So I'm just going to cut around this again. I know it feels like you're doing it twice. You could do this the other way and sort of stick it down, like cut the middles out when they're all on the page together and then stick the acetate on and cut it out once. I don't mind fussy cutting. It doesn't really bother me. But if you're someone that doesn't and you want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Limit the amount of fussy cutting you're going to do, that's probably an easier way. Alright, so we've got our little window with the acetate on it. Gives it a bit of strength too, which is good because we'll need that later. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the rest of the acetates on and be right back again. We now have 6 windows. And this is where you guys are going to start to sort of understand what I'm going to do. So I'm going to have these 6 windows. For me, I want them all on one side, but you can have them sort of spread across the 2 if you prefer. And then I'm going to have a little pocket on the other side that can hold my notes and ideas and stuff, pictures that I want to add in later. But the pictures are going to be removable so that I can change my mind, because I don't change my mind a lot, but I do kind of go. Now, something I'm noticing as I'm looking at this, some of these look bigger than others. I'm actually okay with that, but if you're not, if that bothers you, you can obviously trim these down. They're very minorly bigger and smaller, but that's just the way that they look. That one to me looks a lot bigger. That one is a lot bigger. How did I do that? Hold on. Just because I'm a crazy person, I'm just going to sit them all up next to each other, on top of each other, and just check the sizings. Because I reckon all these ones, oh no, that one might be too big. The silly thing is I made these, I thought I made them all the same. Maybe I didn't. Maybe when I printed them, I made 2 of them bigger than the others. Which is actually possible because the way I printed them, there were those 2 on the top. So if that's the case, if that's what I've done, yeah, it is. Thankfully, I had printed 2 less. So I'm just going to really quickly do the exact same thing to those other 2 because I need them to be not all exactly the same size, but I need them to be consistent. These 2, just to show you, or not to show you, but just to save a bit of time, I'm just going to do these a slightly different way, these 2. So this is the way that I would have, like if you don't like to fussy cut, this would be the other way to do this. So I'm just going to cut these middle bits out and I'll be right back and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so then, as opposed to before when we cut the windows out first and did all that, I would just put a bunch of glue. Just trying to save my work surface, so I'll use more of that scrap paper. Bunch of the glue. I actually stopped caring about the little bit. It didn't get that bad. So a bunch of glue where I think that's going to go, and put the acetate on top, and then cut it out as one thing now. Oh, there we go. So I'm just making sure that I've definitely got it. Of course I went and put glue dots right in the middle of that, but anyway. So I'm going to go ahead, oh sorry, I'll show you this one first. So now you just go round this and you're now getting the acetate and the paper at the same time. It's a slight time saver. It means that you're not going to have little bits of acetate sticking out the side if you haven't quite cut it right. It means you're not going to quite lose quite so much on the side. I just said quite like 8 times, sorry. I will say that's quicker. That is quicker. So perhaps that should have been the way I did it in the first place. But you do waste more acetate this way. So now we've got our 6 little windows and they'll sit, just checking that they are the same size. Now I'm really hyper worried about it. Yes, they're all now roughly the same size. So we're going to have 6 little windows that'll be the 6 little places that I and Ryan that are on our bucket list. So to make the little sliding mechanism, yeah, we'll do the sliding mechanism first. So this is the same way if you saw on my Instagram or if you've seen it in my video. This is how, the exact same way I did this dashboard that the photo comes out. Same principle, it's obviously just on a very much smaller scale. So for this one, I'm getting my Craft For You very skinny tape, and we're still going to end up cutting this in half because we need it to be super, super, super skinny. So first of all, I'm just going to roughly measure how much I need for the side, and I'm going to cut this up the middle. This should be fine, this width should be fine, because not only is this going to hold it up so you can slide the picture in and out, but it's going to give you a bit of a track, so it's easy to sort of work out. So I'm just putting it as close to the edge of the little circle as I can, and that is so we've got a little bit of room for our picture to slide down. You don't want to bend it too much, because if you bend it too much, then your page, like your little picture, needs to be a different shape, and we don't want to do that. If you've got a little bit extra at the top, just trim it off, it's fine. I don't like being able to see my glue tape, it bugs me, so I'm just, not glue tape, foam tape. So I'm just having a look, can't see it, so we're good. And then at the bottom, you can use a full width bit. And I'm just hiding that at the bottom. It doesn't need to be, it's just a stopper basically, and to keep it all at the same level. We're not going to have one at the top because we want to be able to get in and out, so we need a little bit at the bottom to be able to do it. Now what I have done is I cut out this little square or funny shape. What I did was I used, and I'm going to show you again, I grabbed a bit of craft cardstock. I just find craft cardstock a little bit stronger, so it's easy to work with. All I did was trace around this, which gives me the rough shape of my window. And then I started cutting it smaller and smaller and smaller until I got it right. Now, what I have realized is when I did the practice one of this, I was using this slightly bigger window. So what I'm going to do is trim this a little bit. The F just means front, so I knew what I was doing. So all I'm going to do here is just trim my little shape. It doesn't need to be perfect. It really doesn't. The idea here is it goes in and it stays in, but you do want it to be able to come out so you can change it. So I'm just cutting little bits off my edges until it fits in there. Now I want it to slide in nicely, so I'm just cutting it a little bit thinner than maybe you would like to, but like that's going in fine at the moment. I just want it to be a little bit skinnier than that. The only tester to that is if you go too skinny, you're going to be able to see the window, like see the gap behind it, and you don't want to do that. So this one's actually right on exactly there, so I think that's fine. It's just a template, so we can work this out a little bit easier. And then I'm just tracing the bit at the top. So there we go, that'll slide in there and will sit in there perfectly. So then we've got our little pictures. Was I using this one? I wasn't, that was my extra one. And then we can kind of start working on the pictures. So I like to use the little window and then put the template over the top, and I just go around it, and all you do is you make sure you cut slightly on the inside of that line you just did. This is why you didn't really need to cut these out neatly at the beginning, because it didn't matter. Also doesn't matter if you don't quite have it in the right spot, because that frame will hide the stuff right on the edge. Alright, it was fun. So you've got now the little whale shark. It'll slide in. The white bit will sit at the bottom. If I don't like where that's sitting, which I don't, I want that to come down a bit. I'm just going to trim that a little bit more. I just want the whale shark to be a little bit more in the middle. This is why I'm happy I printed two, because if I mess this up, I can just print another one. There we go, that's fine. So you've got the little whale shark there. Now, this next bit is completely and utterly optional, and you don't need to do it. I'm doing it because I'm a weirdo, and I need to make that really clear. I'm going to grab another bit of my paper. I want to grab a bit that's got a colour that I can write on. So I'm leaning towards this white bit. I'm going to stick these down on here and cut them out. Two reasons. Number one, it's going to make them stronger. Number two, it's going to give me the ability to stick something in between to pull these out. Because these are going to sit so low, see that? You kind of need a little tab to be able to grab hold of these and pull them. Now I was thinking you could use like a number and pull it out. You could use one of the hearts or the stamps. I just want to use like a little bit of cardstock, and I'll use probably this same whitish kind of colour, or yellowish kind of colour. Sorry, colours. Come on, Ashley. So I'm just going to trim this down. As you can see, it's a very thin little strip there. And I'm just going to stick that and have it sit. So I'm going to fold it over. Whoops. I can always trim some off if I need to, and I've got plenty of paper, so it's not a problem. So I can stick that in like that. So it's going to be like a little tag, and then you can pull it out. I just feel like you need something to grab hold of. And you can have these one-sided if you want. I want it to be double-sided because I want it to be a bit stronger. And if I stick it between the two bits of paper, it'll stay extra strong. So, grab that bit of paper in again. Bit of glue. Where's my scrap bit? Bit of glue in here so it stays down. And if you're clever, which I'm not, you can mark sort of where you need to cut each time so that they're all the same. So I'm going to do that to there. So if I cut there, and then mark, and then cut, I'll have all of these and they'll all be the same size. Come back to that. So we're going to put blue tape all over this. Put the little tab at the top. Just remember this is going to stick up, like it'll look like it's sticking up a really long way, but when you put it in here it won't be that bad. And then we can stick it down on here. Now this is the only part about this that is now a little tricky. When you cut this out, you don't want to cut that little sticky up bit off. So I sort of will go around this bit and then stop. Around this bit. I hate coming in from this side. And stop. And then you can lift it forward a little bit to kind of be able to get there. If you really want it to be, I think I've done this the wrong way. I think I should have done it a little bit easier on myself. But when I do another one, I'll show you guys sort of a different way. Yes, I will do it a different way. The cool thing is this kind of looks like a little luggage tag. So when you write on the back, it actually will look kind of cool. Okay, so you've got your little luggage tag, you've got your little window, and that's going to sit in just like that. Now they will sit on top of each other as you go through here. I feel like they're going to sit just in a different spot, but I think this is going to be really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do all of the rest because you've got the gist. It's a bit of trial and error with these. They are not going to be perfect. They are all not going to be the same, and I'll probably mess a few of these up, but you get the general idea, and I think this will look really cool once we're done. So when I did that, I stuck the top and the bottom one down first because then the middle one can be adjusted. It's still not 100% perfect, but that's fine. Now, the reason we made them on the plain on the back, where's my pen? There it is I want to be able to write on the back where they are. So let's go with this one, for example. It's a whale shark. That could be lots of places, but it is a specific place. So all I'm going to do is just on the back, I'm just going to write where it is and then the state. And then if it's not obvious from what the state is, so Western Australia, I don't really need to write Australia on there. I'm pretty sure I know what that is. But Ningaloo Reef, Western Australia. This one is Harry Potter World in Orlando, Florida. So I'm going to write that, and then I'll just write US on the bottom. And I'll do the same thing for all of them. Those are all written in, and we can put these, actually before I do, I'm just going to give these a couple of minutes to dry. They shouldn't smudge. I don't even want to touch them in case I do smudge it. I'm just going to do one other teeny weeny little thing. I just want to add in a little pocket over on the side. So all I'm doing is just marking, and I'm marking with a pencil, which you won't think it works, but it just needs to be enough for me to see it to cut it to the right size. So I know roughly where my little pencil mark is anyway, so it's fine. And then we'll just cut now. The only thing I've just realised, that's right, I'll deal with it, is I want this in a particular spot. I want to use a certain part of this. I want the New York bit and the Sydney bit to be in it more than some of the others. So I'm just moving this where I'm happy. This is the benefit, again, of having two bits of paper or bits of acetate. You can get away with not making a mess, but picking where you want things. This is going to be a rather large pocket. I don't know why I do that. And I'm just going to stick it down with some glue, no, not glue tape, foam, double-sided tape. So I've got some very, very, very skinny stuff. So I'm just going to stick this around the outside to make my little pocket. I don't mind. You will be able to see it a little bit. I don't mind. It'll be fine. You won't be looking at that anyway. There's enough else in here to look at that the bit of glue that you can see is not going to be an issue. Now this is something I was thinking just while I was sticking that down. This is my project that I did using the digital kit. And what I want to do is I'm just taking the cover off. So I just want to check something. I didn't do that on purpose, but that fits in there perfectly. Now obviously with the rings, it doesn't, not the rings, the discs, it doesn't quite work. But if you were someone that was so inclined and wanted to have a bit of a play with this, find another way to bind it up, whether you wanted to staple it, whether you wanted to put a small binder on it, your little travel planner would actually fit in your bucket list insert, which I didn't do on purpose, but it works. All right, I'm gonna put these in. We're gonna slide them in together. So we're gonna go to Rome. Oh my God, that looks so cool. We're gonna go to Ningaloo Reef in Western Australia. Now, I'm just keeping an eye on some bits, because if these are too high, if I don't like where it sits, I can just pull it apart and I can push it down a little bit further. Where'd my tweezers go? So I'm just grabbing hold of this, opening it up a bit. It's really easy to wiggle that loose. Maybe I just didn't push it down far enough, that's fine. Push it down a little bit further than it was before, and then just squish it shut again. Now it'll be on the right size. Ningaloo Reef. Actually, now it's too small. Things you don't need to do if you're not pedantic. That's fine. Komodo Island in Indonesia. That manta's obviously not, I'm leaving these now, not necessarily symbolic of all of Komodo, but it'll do. New York, especially in the winter time. Harry Potter World, Orlando, Florida. I can see a little bit of the red behind that one. That's fine, I don't mind. And London, England. And there we have our little bucket list that comes on my little insert. So I can open this up, I can see my buckets. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm not going to do it. But if you wanted to rank these, the stamps here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, your top 6, top 9 if you want to do that, top 10 if you want to go on the other side. I think that's really cool. And the little note thing you can have, why do you want to go there? You can keep your little travel planner in here. And of course we can put, and we might need to, a quote card on the front. Today's destination, travel like you're fresh out of lockdown. I've not been everywhere, but it's on the list. Always take the scenic route. everyday hauls. Always take the scenic route. Alright, this is me being complete over the top now, but you know me well enough to know that that's what I do. I just need to put this on some foam tape. I don't want it up too high, so I'm going to do the same foam tape I used before. Actually, before I do the foam tape, I'm going to cut this out. I just want it to be just a little border around the outside, because it just needs a little bit. Go. It's a very small amount of foam, but it just adds a little bit of dimension. The other thing, make sure you don't lose your little template, because you'll need that to make these the next time you want to do it. So there we go. Kind of over the top. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, this is what I do. I do over the top planner things. That's just the gist of my channel. I love that these can be changed. Do you know what else I love? That they can go in the pocket. So if you decide, okay, well, I don't want to go to London, or I've been to London, you can stick it in the pocket. Or if you want to come up with 50 of these and just rotate them around, you can do that. And it's actually reasonably, except for the Ningaloo one, which I'm annoyed at because it's the one that I've played with. They're actually all really easy to grab. I've just messed that up, that's okay. There we go. Now they're all easy to grab. Look like luggage tags, little pictures. What can be better, really? I love this. I was sort of sitting here trying to work out my project and I couldn't think of anything. And then this idea of having, originally I thought like maybe Polaroids, but then I thought Polaroids would be too big. And then I remembered these little windows from the digital kit and I was like, that's it, that's what you use. I love this, I really do. I'm babbling because I really, really love it. I hope you guys loved it too. If you did, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Of course, you can click the playlist button at the end of this video and check out all my other videos using Planners Anonymous. There is unboxings, there is digital kits, there is projects, there's so much, there's weekly decorations. I use PA a lot, you guys know that. So I hope you check out some other videos if this one piqued your interest. Hope you guys have an absolutely awesome, awesome, awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!